We are the promised people. We are the people who were promised for this promised land. Everybody worldwide. We are the promised people. We are the people. Yes, so welcome to the promised land.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 12 of our Breaking the Trance Sourcecast. I want to start reminding you at the beginning of each of these episodes, for those of you who are listening on the many places that we have this on audio podcast, you may notice sometimes it seems we might be referencing visuals and gesticulating as part of what we're teaching and sharing in terms of breaking the trance. We're talking about things like the code and the code issue, which we're going to go into today. Just remember that you can come watch us when you have some time. It's worth making a trip on over here to YouTube. Our channel is called Source Media Network. And come watch the shows as well. You get to kind of see us, and you know there's a visual component to this teaching that we're bringing you. So you'll definitely get a lot of value just listening in as you go about your days in your cars or washing dishes or wherever you listen to podcasts. But just wanted to remind you that this is sort of originally made for video. So if you want the full experience, come on over here to Source Media Network on YouTube. And that said, today we're going into episode 12. Can't believe we're already on 12. This is amazing. And we've covered so much ground. And obviously the whole theme here we keep on coming to is about breaking the trance. We're using the word trance to kind of call out the deep human condition on the level of our being as individuals and as a community and as a global community. It's not hard to see that we're even with all of the beautiful things about humans and our incredible breakthroughs across the board in the arts and the sciences and just the good, loving natured people that we generally are. We can obviously see that this planet, this global community is really struggling right now. And has been for a very long time, which is why when what we often refer to the revered wisdom teachers as first responders or the first teachers, the teachers of what is first, through the ages, they've all been addressing this deep issue that we've been facing. So in other words, while the suffering that we're experiencing, that humanity is, and all the problems and all the pathologies and all the violence and all the things that we can point to, we're experiencing a modern day version of a very old problem. Just as we pointed out in a few episodes back that, we've got AI now, but really the roots of AI and Google and the information age actually goes way back to the origins of language, really. And the side effect that we didn't know was happening as language developed, we didn't realize that we were also developing a deep code underneath that. There's a lot of ways to call this code out, but one of the ways I like to refer to it is it's a deeply objectifying code. So if you think of it this way, anything your mind touches, anything you perceive, anything you experience is being interpreted. And it's being interpreted with, just like our computers and all of our digital world uses the ones and zeros of binary code. Well, that kind of originated with us. The binary code started in our own minds and our own consciousness. And this kind of either or, black and white, sort of deep infrastructure of our minds and our experiences and our lives, no matter what religion or non-religion or culture or language you speak, it's all using the same foundational code. And its effect is that it objectifies everything, including ourselves. Mostly ourselves, the user of the objectifying code, which we're calling the trance, or the cause of this trance that humans are in, it's equal opportunity. Everybody's involved in that code, and it's put us in a place where we're so deeply entrenched in it. And one symptom, kind of like when we take prescriptions to deal with an ailment of some kind, and then you need a prescription for that prescription, and on and on and on. It's kind of like we're almost like deep in this game of treating the foundational issue which is that we are cut off from our true nature, our true source, our true happiness, our bliss, our well-being. We're cut off from it. And this is something we don't even really know, because it happens, as we pointed out last time. We're born bound. We're born into it. We're thrust into this code, which kind of cuts us off from our true nature, our true bliss, our true well-being. And then all of the ways in which we try to deal with that condition ends up compiling the issue and compounding the issue, and we get almost deeper and deeper in it. And now we're so deeply entrenched in that, in a time where lots of wisdom bits or bites, mind bites of wisdom, are being flung around the culture all over the place, whether it's on social media or in books and bestsellers and, gurus and this and that. Oh, there's so many ways that people are delivering objectified wisdom, packaged wisdom, which has a certain glimmer of light, a thing like if we say power of now or any of these like slogans that we have. We're not putting anyone down, of course, but we're saying, be here now, or there is God within all of us, or just, you can think of countless ways that we have these wisdom sayings and teachings, and you know what? It's not that anyone delivering these things are malintentioned, but what we fail to recognize, and what we keep calling out, what this episode is really largely about, is if we don't face the underlying cause of our human condition, which is what we're calling the code issue, or the malware that's deeply implanted in our mind operating system, then all of this wisdom is falling flat. It's in a way vacuous. In a way, it's just like wisdom candy. It like gives us a little buzz, and then we have to find more of that wisdom candy. And to just call it what it is, there's a lot of people who are capitalizing on that in that space. So it's like selling, it's like staying in the trance and selling the hope of getting out of it, but not actually getting out of it. And I'm not saying that a lot of these people are aware that they're doing this. I think it's just that the code issue is so deep. The trance is so deep, and without the proper education, which we're trying to bring you, we're calling it source science. In a way, it's kind of a science of all sciences. All the sciences have a source science that kind of unifies them all in their diversity. Without that source science, we keep on spinning our wheels, and we keep on having to kind of like, it's almost like we have to get another hit of wisdom or get another hit of hope. But long run, we can see it's not working. So we're really, in a way, kind of blowing the whistle on that and saying, everybody stop, everybody stop. It's not that we're malintentioned. It's that we don't realize that we're, in a way, expending and wasting our precious energies of trying to get better by using the same code that got us here in the first place. So that's going to be my opening statement, just to get things going. Dad, I'd love to hear your take on what we're doing today. But yeah, I would just say, if we don't hit pause and step back and get the source science, and not just presume that because we all have access to a kind of an innate wisdom and goodness and connection to source, we all do have that within us, but that doesn't mean it's granted that we are capacitated to be able to be out of the trance and in the space of well-being. There is some heavy lifting involved. There's some work that does need to be done to activate that innate wisdom. And that's what we're seeking to do here with source science and calling out the code issue, which we're going to go into now. So, Dad, I hope I didn't go too long with that intro.
I love the way you framed it. Very eloquent and so much here. I think this entire episode, number 12, which it has to do with, if we don't face, when you call the code, people might be put off by that, because code is all around us. We have cyber code, of course, and the DNA code, and the laws are in a code. They're rules and conventions and laws and principles that govern. So everyone knows grammar. Grammar is a code, the grammar of any language, with the rules and syntax that gives us the rules of language, how to make sense. Right. So it should be a household word code, right? But what you said beautifully, and we've been saying all through these source casts. So we're not talking for where we are in ordinary media, but source meaning tapping the source. And you're saying something now that when I've all these decades as a first philosopher, teaching here at Haverford College and around the world with world leaders, bringing out this question of the quest for what is first. all the great philosophers and first responders. Why? Because what is first? It's a fundamental field of reality, of being, whatever you want to call it. You don't have to use God names for it, but there is a force. And philosophers like Aristotle and Socrates and Plato and logos in the Greek, right? The light of reason, the source of all reality that turns all the lights. Because as you said, just to be a human and to experience is to read it, to interpret it. And if you interpret it, our language itself already has a grammar, a code, a logic, whatever you want. Software is a good way to use the analogy. The software running that's allowing us to see and make sense of our world and have a world, have relations, have politics, have human relations, have a self, have a science, arts. Our creativity is expressed through that code. But as you suggested, and we've been bringing up over and over, I don't want to throw a question back at you because I'm getting not frustrated, but, and I don't want to use a strong language here, but I will use strong language.
Good.
Enough already of 2,500 years of our great first thinkers who are corresponding with different names, but they're in silos, whether it's Yahweh or Allah or God or Tao or Brahman or Yoga or Source or Shunyata, the Buddha. All of these first responders through the history, all the great philosophers, Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, leave the cave and come into the light of reason. Know thyself, the Christ, the Logos in the flesh, right? John begins, in the beginning is the Word was infinite, and the Word was with God. The Word was God, came into all of these over and over, but they're in silos. If you keep in silos, that means the derivative code, the software has got you already. And we've been bringing it up. We're already implanted. We're born into the language. The language has a grammar. We learn how to use it. And we never understood the medical consequences of that is cutting us off from a deeper access to ourselves and to life and to flourishing and to happiness and freedom and ethics and love and being a fully whole human. That's huge, not? And the great teachers, first philosophers and scriptures are all trying to find creative ways to knock at that door and see this software, but we didn't have a way to say it. So leave the ego, leave the desire, don't look at result, all along. But we don't realize that it takes a great courage to step back to see your seeing, to see the software. The software is so deeply implanted, as you beautifully pointed out. And if you don't see the code, then we're just spinning within the red zone here. If your audio, well, check us out, because I'm gesturing to a hologram, just a very simple hologram to show that when you take all of the scriptures and wisdoms and arts and sciences and best-selling books and the gurus and all speaking into the space, their wisdom from a higher space or even from here, it gets trapped within that software. And in other words, not what we bring around, the essence of wisdom or enlightenment or being a rational being or entering ethics or entering love or entering Christ or entering Buddha or entering yoga is stepping out of the code. The essence of wisdom and being human is face the buried code and break the code, break the trance. The trance is the software. It's what makes us able, it's brilliant actually, to be able to tame the logos on our terms in eons of evolution, to tame the fire of the source, right? And to have a technology, a Google space, it's ancient. When you say it's ancient AI, we developed the tools of information. When you say objectification, people aren't going to understand that. The thinker has a screen and our information is processed through all of our narratives, all of our worlds, all of our arts, all of our sciences. In this space is going to be on the screen. That's how we get it out there and communicate. And it's an object of thought. And when you objectify yourself and the other, the content, you're cutting it off from a deeper encounter of the first kind. And I want to throw a question at you. When are we going to get this now? I mean, when you use the word science, people are going to say, what are you talking about? We got science. We got the truth. Look at all the technologies that we've got, right? You can't argue with it. We got on Mars, or maybe not. It's a question, did we get on the moon? I don't know. But that's the point. We have the cyber power. It's great what we've got. But we didn't do that. This without the source code. And we're doing source casts from the place of wisdom and enlightenment and scriptures. They're all pointing, no one can escape from being under the infinite source, but whatever name you use. And the great teachers are saying, Check it out. Mind your minding. Be a critical thinker. Step back, check out the software. We have the power to do that. Why? Because we're in the space already. And as you said, one of the things you hear in pop wisdom, TikTok wisdom, it does not matter. I'm not putting it down, but you can't have slices and pieces and bits of this science. And when you use the word science, it's astounding. If there's one thing I like to I'm upset about, is that the ancient tradition of the people who understood the great philosophers, right, to get to what's first, the first responders, they knew that was a science of science. Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, our elders in the European tradition, not to mention Buddha, Krishna, Moses, Muhammad, all of the others. I don't want to get into all of that. We did it before. They realized that what is first is infinite, is infinitely one. That means you can't be in silos. But this is a silo maker. The software we had put things in silos, and when you do that, you deaden it, you block it. So here's the point I want to bring out with you again, almost ad nauseum not. If we're not calling out the software issue, we're in it.
Yes.
There is no code operation. The codes are conflated. Your code chaos. We're living in code chaos. For millennia, we can't hear the wisdom, which is what? To shift from the code. Yoga is not here. Yoga is crossing. Christ is not here. Christ is, unless you die, you get to the code, to the software, the sin code that cuts you. You're not going to come to the Christ. You'll be separated from that. This is just examples. If I'm a Christian, and my Jesus, I got my God, and God is here. No, you can't bring God here. You can't download the Logos speaking, right? That's a different language. It's a higher code. It's sourceware of Jesus, Moses getting the law, Muhammad surrendered to Allah, yoga, Krishna, come into the Brahman, right? Come into the Buddha space. Don't call it God. Leave God out of it. It's science. So it's science. The great first thinkers were saying there is a deep science. If you can get the DNA for what's first, it'll be the form of all forms, the science of all science, the knowing of all knowing.
Yes.
Yeah, we know here, we have information. I got my science. I have my scientific method, but I'm calling out science too. Okay, it may sound like, how dare you? But science is within, if science has not stepped back to say, oh, I realize we have a cyber code that's working on the culture, and our great teachers are calling it out, and to get to deep science, which is intimacy with the field of nature, deep connections with it. It's a different lens. It's deep. It's like if you can have a telescope or a microscope, and good, but how about a whole scope? How about a source scope? Science understands scoping, right? And getting a new instrument. This is the technology of all technologies. Whatever technologies we have and we're taking credit for arrogantly within this space, using this and being used by it, we brought it in life, right? You couldn't have that. You couldn't be without this. You cannot be without being. Everyone's accountable to being, and you can't silo it. It's infinitely one. And once you see that, all of our great striated, separated, fragmented, siloed, Lego pieces, separation of shards and bits of wisdom pieces just fail. Science is part of it. I would love to see science, the frontier sciences, of theoretical physics and biology and epigenetics and all of these beautiful and nervous system science and brain science. All of that's great. And all the medicines we say, but if we're not facing that these discoveries couldn't be without the source, but we're here and we haven't faced the software issue, we're blocking a deeper wisdom, a deeper science. So source science has been a long dream of the greatest minds on the planet. So when people say, oh, the wisdom is in you, this is what I want to get back to now. I'm sorry it took so long.
No, I'm loving it. Keep going.
If you say, if people, one of the things you hear in the text we read here in the wisdom industry, in the wisdom and enlightenment industrial complex, right, that suggested we got the wisdom in it. Sure you do. Here it is. You couldn't be outside of the field of wisdom. No one can be outside whatever name you use for it. Source. The source code has got you. But then the malware here has trapped us. And I'd love someone to say, no, I'm a scientist. Don't tell me I've got malware. Show me. All of you wisdom teachers who are publishing your books and bringing wisdom, you said, be here now, or whatever it may be. I want to ask not just the authors of those best selling, which is being brought up by the public, pop wisdom, I'm asking everyone, every human being, have you faced the code issue? Have you faced that you're living a derivative form of yourself, according to our great teachers, for 2,500 years? And we're still not getting that wisdom is a code shift to a deeper, integral, holistic sourceware in the light of reason, in the light of being. Ill-being to well-being. I'm calling
That's
on
it.
every human being.
Yeah.
And ourselves too.
Yes,
Does that make
absolutely.
sense? You know,
Absolutely.
why is it so hard for people to after it's not new. I'm calling out some people all say, oh, it's in me already. I don't have to do any work. I got the wisdom in me. Damn no. You've got to do some when you see our great teachers struggling for centuries to even knock at this door, and I'm trying to find it here. And even we step back and mind your minding and all of that, we talk about that. But if you don't call this out, you remain within it. That's a trance we're talking about. And the essence of enlightenment, scriptures, wisdom is to face that software, the malware that's breaking us down, fragmenting us, the human dysfunctions, pathologies, violence taking place in this, let's call it a shit show. Right. And even though we have our arts and sciences, brilliant, creative artists, we love it. Right. Yeah. Arts and science, and we're not putting it down. We're saying we want to put it up. We're not putting Christianity. Let's see the Christ. Rather than putting yoga down, let's do the yoga. So let's get the knowledge, because this is urgent now. Because this is a place of ethics where I and other are not objectified. You meet in the sacred space. This is sacred space. This is truth. This is knowledge. This is science. I throw the ball back at you.
Yeah, that's interesting, because episode 2 or 3 or something is anything sacred anymore. You know, we've been calling all this out in a lot of ways, and to that point, you know, it makes me think of fracking and hacking. So fracking being, you know, obviously fracking, if you don't know, is when
it sounds like cracking and breaking.
Yeah, we break into the earth, right? And extract.
We're fracking into the zone, yeah.
Yeah, and we extract the oil, you know, in this analogy, the oil is like the wisdom, like we have access to it in a way, but in a way we're almost like unself-aware plagiarists. And again, this sounds like a put down, but it's like, it's not like we're being malintentioned. Again, it's like we don't realize that every thought we have, every sentence we speak, whether it's spoken or not, any iota of experience is drawing on the infinite connectivity of reality. But what we're not seeing is that our code, the code that's operating our thinking, is actually breaking things up. And that's what I meant by objectifying. Everything in a way is objectified. Every thought, every feeling,
a unit, like a Lego piece.
Every piece, you know, every person. You can say, oh, that person's not an object, but that rock is an object. No, even deeper level of objectifying. It's everything is objectified on that deep level. And so we don't realize, it's almost like we're like when you say we're tamed the logos, like when we learn how to tame the word power, like taming fire, you know, we learn how to tame it, but we tamed it on our terms. We don't it's like we forgot that we're tapping the word, thought, being is made possible and brought to you by the infinite, by the sacred space. And yet our way of using it is almost like we're taking from it, fracking, and then but disregarding the source of it. And then the hacking part is now we're in the space where we're fracking, and now we're going to say, hey, this is how you're going to get to well-being. You're going to do this meditation technique, or you're going to do a cleanse and get a cleanse, or you're going to try this psychedelic and it's going to get you there, or you're going to go, and we're using all that same technology of thinking that's put us in this place of being alienated from well-being. And now we're going to hack our way back into it on our terms. So the whole scene is kind of like a fracking and hacking kind of thing. And it all is based on the fact that we're not stepping back from the code and realizing, oh my God. It's almost like when you say, like, you take your shoes off when you walk into the temple. Well, you're never not in the temple. There's never a moment you're not in sacred space. But we proceed in a kind of a normalized mundaneness of existence, and we're just, you know, if you think about it, like, you know, if you think of everything as your own home or any place you walk, even the grocery store or a public restroom, if you think of everything as sacred space, And then you think, how am I moving through sacred space? Sacred meaning it's not it's not just for us to narcissistically make noise and clamor around and get what we want and consume and mouth off and all the things that we're doing. It's like we've all forgotten that we're in sacred space, you know, and so even the wisdom market of the industrial complexes. I just love that you coined that. You know, that's a kind of noise too. It's kind of like the way I see it. A lot of people who are kind of cashing in on these shiny sayings and, you know, wisdom candy and selling that, but it's not getting us out of the trance. It's almost like more like wisdom pacification. You know,
That's
it's like
good.
you don't have to leave the cave. Here, just hold this candle and you'll be fine. You know, and the candle bulb, you know, burns out, then you got to get another one. You know, it's like, no, it's leave the cave we're talking about. It's not stay on the Titanic as it's going down and learn how to find your happiness. Get off the Titanic. You know, I'm trying to give different examples of the level that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And again, we keep on saying it, and I really want to reiterate, I don't think anybody or very few people out there are malintentioned. I think that this is just not being said. There's nobody's, as far as what I've seen out there, this is not, none of this is being called out. We're staying in the single bracket code, not even knowing that that's there, and we're uttering these words of wisdom. We're uttering these teachings. We're imparting these techniques, purporting that it's going to get us to enlightenment or get us to well-being or get us to happiness, you know, and it's not doing the trick. Even science, it's like, okay, well, we can cure cancer, we can go to the moon or Mars or whatever. It's like, okay, that's all great, but if we're suffering, that science, the most wildly advanced technological advancements that can prolong our lives and get rid of diseases, which God bless it, it's an amazing gift made possible by Source, made possible by a deeper science that's funding it and making it possible, that we're kind of fracking and then taking credit for these breakthroughs rather than seeing, wow, we're tapping into the potential of the infinite. We're saying we're doing it. We've made these things. You know, we can have the most incredible scientific breakthroughs, but it's still not going to get us off the Titanic. It's not going to get us. We can go all the way to Mars and then destroy that planet too. You know, we can cure the cancer that was threatening my life, and then still be forlorn and lost and missing a sense of meaning and deep
And
meaning.
there's a virus in the culture itself.
Yes, the whole
Science
right.
science needs to call that out too.
Right.
Because
That's
when you
it.
say we say it, this is the place we say. The words, the language we use, this red code is a grammar that gives us our language for all of our experience and life and emotions and creativity and productions and technologies and so forth, which couldn't be without the source. And so you can't talk your way out of the
Right.
trance. You can't talk your way.
You can't hack
You
it.
can't get you can't hack into source. You can't do it. You burn off. You can't. How you cross? The only way to make crossing into the deeper mind software, sourceware, a higher technology of word processing and mind processing and mindfulness and meditative awareness, not language, propositional language, representational language, but language of the source. When you're surfing here, your being, the word is your being. You're not talking about it. This is representational. This is presentational logic code. Right. Then you're intimate with self and other. That's ethics. That's where the human flourishes and blossoms. That's where science gets to a higher space. That's where medicine gets to tap the healing power. All of the breakthroughs in alternative medicines and so forth, the desperation and aging. We're aging, and how can we de-age and take these compounds or do these tricks? And you're desperate to prolong longevity. Whereas this is longevity. This is the source of life. Science. So I think what we're saying here, what I'm saying, and I think I hear it and you know, is that it's about time we face the challenge of science. The science that we have is relative to our software. If we're using science in the software, and we have a lens of the mind and a paradigm for science, whether it's Newton or Einstein, whether it's genetics or epigenetics, where it's individual or holistic, whatever the science is, we have a model. And you can have scientific revolutions and transformations in here. But the ultimate revolution of science is to see, because the great thing about science is you should be a critical thinker. You should be able to see that could it be that the undisclosed and undetected code or grammar or logic or software that we're living in, that doing our science, is fragmenting and breaking and fracking and not really a science. Science should be able to do that. We're calling out science. I'm calling out every human being. Are you submerged within the software? Have you faced that? Even though the God and Christ and Buddha and wisdom and enlightenment is within you. The great teachers had to fight their way out. And even then it wasn't called out as clearly. And they were to tapping the light of enlightenment and wisdom.
When you say fight your way out, when you say fight, I want to clarify what you mean by fight.
Well, I mean, but when you hear in pop culture that, wisdom, enlightenment is within you, or wisdom is within you, it's true. All of this is within us. But to fight your way out, obviously, why has it taken us so long, 2,500 years of hearing the wisdom, to still be spinning in here? Mm-hmm. Right? Jesus, for example, saw some important rite of passage has to happen to go from here to here. All of Buddha's enlightenment from here is calling out, you've got to detach and let go of this in order to open up and flourish as the Buddha within you.
There's like a rehab process.
It's a rehab, and you've got the essence of the rehab, of the crossing from the derivative space into the primary deeper space, is the shift in the code and calling out the derivative, seeing you can't shift out of it, you can't see it. If you know that God is within you, you can't snap your finger and there reach God. Something is blocking. And when I say fight, there has not been respect enough and honoring of our great first responders through the ages. Yeah, we love Jesus. We love Moses. We love Buddha. We love Krishna. Sure, here. But if you're downloading the teachings here, you're not getting Jesus. You're not getting Christ. You're not getting Buddha. You're not getting yoga. They're all calling to shift the code, come into a deeper place, become human. This is ethics.
Yeah, don't download, but upgrade.
Upscript, as one of your human up. Mm-hmm. Human up. That's a profound, courageous thing because it's scary to leave this place. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the wisdom that people are living by and dying by here is to, as you say, it's candy. It's wisdom candy. It's TikTok candy. It's pieces that keeps me going. Whatever it is, these phrases, be here now, yeah, I like it. All right? Love is great, yeah, I love it. Christ is with me, yeah. God is with you, yeah. Allah, whatever name. Right? We have that language, but it's speaking here, words of wisdom here are not wise. And words of wisdom means a shift in your being from a derivative malware into a primary higher form of mind processing. That's when you flourish, and I don't see people that are calling that out. They didn't have the clarity of a derivative malware and a deeper space of source, the field of infinite source, science. And to say, if you're here, you're suffering and you can't get out, and there's a powerful breakthrough to rise. You've got to see break the trance on your way to who you are.
Mm-hmm. I'm realizing that like one place that people could get tripped up here is, well, this is true. Then how was it that I felt I did see God, or I did have this divine awakening, and I was on mushrooms, or I was in a meditation, or was doing my yoga practice, or I was doing a breath technique, or something, or I was on the sports field and I just suddenly was no longer efforting and I was in the zone. So. Or the music where I was listening to music, or I was making music and it just went into a whole new space. I think that's what you guys are talking about. So if this was really an issue, then if we really needed this code education, this code sensitivity and awareness, then how could I even have that experience? And what I want to say to that is, no, that's real. You are tapping. That's the beautiful thing is when you remember, we hear what we're saying here. There's no place you can go that is outside of the zone, outside of source. The issue here is that we're not living in that space. Somehow we've managed to cave ourselves and silo ourselves and objectify ourselves into a version of life that is primarily not that. And then we have these gasps of air, if you will, where we go, so we see the sunset, or we're making love, and enter this amazing zone, and whatever it is, we've all had moments where we tap into that and we're sort of in that zone because it is always there, and in a way it is always available. But what happens? It gets siloed into an episode that we had, and it's not by far the majority of the time. It's the rare exception that we have these moments, and we think that that's
peak performance. Yeah,
the peak. But peak performance is like the meaning of life in a way. Peak performance meaning not that you're performing for somebody, but it means you're sustaining that zone consciousness. And of course, like surfing a wave, you might fucking get wiped out, and you have to get back on the board. But so it's not like about like being some kind of perfect ideal here that we're talking about. What we're talking about though is if we're going to stay in the zone, which is our birthright, to stay in a place of well-being, especially in this day and age where there's so many things coming at us that threaten our well-being, even if there's no immediate threat, even just living in fear and living in anxiety is an affront to our well-being. We need more than ever to not come from a place of panic, fear, anxiety, and all these things. We need to be in the zone more than ever, and we're not able to sustain that because what we're daring to say is you can't sustain it if you don't address what's causing the trance that we're in. If we don't have the code education, if we can't step back and have just the basic literacy and understanding what we're saying here, then we can't sustain it. It's like what we're saying is that you need the source science in order to stay in the zone, because this is beyond opinion. This is beyond us saying like, hey, just trust us, guys, trust us. We're saying trust the wisdom of the planet, which is now being distilled into a way that you can understand in any context, in any worldview. They're all being joined together. They all come from a common source, a common science. And without being aware of that, we can't stay in the zone. We can't stay in our happiness and in our bliss.
Well said, Nath. Because we do have those, and are beautiful artists and creative singer-songwriters and performers and dancers and athletes, and mathematicians and scientists touch into the source voltage, because this symbolism here just reduces this whole hologram into one point. Here am I, and here am I. I'm being held by the source. Here it is. And it's the infinite force that's holding me. And the fact that what you said is when you have a peak moment, you're somehow able to break out of this space. Let's put it in red, where it is, where it belongs. We're able to step back from this. And we're there already. Voila, we're always there. We're always there.
Mm-hmm.
So people who say God is with you, or Christ is with you, or the infinite is in you, or
kingdom of heaven is at hand. Yeah.
The heaven is at hand. It's right here. Right? And what you just said is that the evidence, the person would say, well, how come if I'm cut off from source, how can I have high moments? How can I have inspiration? How can I have the light bulb goes on and I have a moment of enlightenment? Right? I saw into electricity. I got E equals MC squared.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Like you do.
I was. What's that?
I said like you do.
Yeah, exactly. You're explaining, right? Because we're always being held, and that's our nature to be in the. But here's the point. This software is so powerful, inscribed from birth and learning the language in our being, for all of our experience and life and emotions and feelings and all of that, that when we have those peak moments, it clams shut again. We get back. That's why we said something happened when I was running. I was the running. That's running here. Mm-hmm. But then I come back to the dining center, and what was that about? Or I come off the basketball court, or I come away from the soccer, or the chess, or the mathematical research I was doing, and I realized I was taken over by yourself. That's good. That what you're saying is that we have that here, but it's not automatic and easy to become a veteran, a virtuoso of being in the zone.
Mm-hmm.
You have to earn the right to be a zoner. And it's not just in Arizona, It's everywhere. You're right. We're always in sacred space. So wherever we are, if we realize, oh, damn, this is infinite source is right in me. Infinite presence. It's not stuff. When people say the universe is a living energy, presence, you can call it God or Allah energy or yoga energy or Om or Brahman or Buddha nature, whatever name you use for it. It's true. It's in every cell of our bodies, inside, outside, all around us here. It's right here. It's at hand. But something is going on that is really blocking our mental operating process.
We're asleep at the wheel in a
We're
way.
asleep at the wheel, and it's dangerous. And you don't want auto driving,
Yeah.
even though you're getting it. This is robotic. This is an AI form. It's not organic source. So here's what I'd like to share with you now. We know now in the critique of culture that even science is being seen as having an ideology. It's got a lens, it's got a paradigm, it's changing. It's great. Beautiful. Scientific method is fantastic, right? For example, let's say if we say, okay, I don't have religion, I don't believe in God, I'm an atheist, whatever, but at least we have science. No, science is relative to your lens. It's relative truth. It's not fundamental truth. And the great teachers knew that when Jesus is saying, I am the truth, allegedly, whether he actually said it or not, when the scripture, the gospels are not here. The gospels are trying to get us here into the word of source, into the logos. Jesus is the logos speaking. What language is that? It's not Aramaic. It's Aramaic. Right? So the words here, great as it is to have language and meaning and feelings and emotions and literature and poetry and all of that, which can be inspired and is inspired, still, until we face the profound force of the source where of our evolution that we're branded within it, this deep addiction, right, into the very language we have, the grammar that we learn, all of the human languages, as diverse as they are, beautifully human languages, diverse linguistically, but they have a deep code, a logic, a logos, right, that they're all using, and that's the software. It's malware. Because if you take it as absolute, namely, if you take it that this is it, and you don't see, you couldn't have that without this, so this comes from that. When you see that, you're beginning to get the wisdom, get the science, get the knowledge, the cognition, get the ethics. Ethics here is not ethics. When you're in the golden rule, you're living it, you're breathing it, you're in the Dharma, you're in the ethics, you're in love. Love here. Love here is objectified. You don't objectify yourself or your lover. Don't objectify your children. Children are sacred. So what does it, so the point I'm making is that we have to recognize that it's stunning of us. It's outrageous that you and I are sharing this. Listen to the great first responders because they're opening up a pathway to science. It's called first philosophy. First philosophy got sidetracked and derailed. Buddha is the first philosopher. The Vedic science of yoga is a first philosophy. Moses at the burning bush, Judaic wisdom is first philosophy. Jesus at the burning bush, first philosophy. These are first responders. All the great philosophers in Europe are trying to get there. They call meditation on first philosophies. That's science. And what happened along the way over the centuries, the primary science, it got sidetracked with empirical science. Check out the experience. Look, you do the experiment, get the feedback, revise your theory. And all of that. So, that's great. We got science. No, science is derivative from primary science.
Yeah.
This is where you have truth. This is where you have relative truth, relative to your lens and to your paradigm and your ideology. This is deeper than ideology. And we're in crisis of truth now. People say, where's the truth? It's all relative. We're in a post-truth world and society. No, there is truth. And that's why recognizing the trance is key to our human survival, because this is very dangerous where we are. The virus has gotten so burning, fever pitch, that the human culture is showing it all around the planet right now. All around the planet. And so we don't have the luxury of just, let's wait another 1,000 years. We've had 2,000 years. No, there's no more time.
No, there's no more time. That's why we're doing what we're doing, with
utter medical urgency. This is medicine, source medicine. And we're doing source casts, not podcasts, not Lego casts. This is Lego pieces, but this is logos. So we're doing source casts to try and open up the good news here. It's good news. We don't have to be here. We can medically solve the problem by courageously, not just short-circuiting and say, oh, the wisdom is in me, so I don't have to do the work. It takes profound work to check out and mind your minding and make the crossing. It takes courage to do that. That's what we're insisting.
Yes, exactly. And we probably have to wind down now. So I really keep feeling like I want to make sure that those of you listening to this, whether you're involved in certain healing practices or spiritual practices as a practitioner or as a guide, as a teacher, I just want to be very, very clear. We're not putting down any of those approaches. We're saying that all, just like science is a thing. I thank God, for example, that I can go to the dentist and fix a cavity instead of have to rip my tooth out or whatever, or that we have all these scientific advancements and all that. This is not a put down to any of it. What we're saying is that meanwhile, the ship's going down and we are all, in a way, we're gasping for the zone. We're gasping for air, and we're not able to get out of this worsening plight of humanity by continuing to try and get better within the trance. And that's what we're calling out. So all of the gifts that people are bringing, that we're all bringing, keep them going, keep teaching, keep guiding, but bring in the code awareness. Remember that we can't just stay in the cave and keep lighting another candle. We got to get out of the cave. We can't keep on staying on the Titanic and using a bucket to try to fight the water flooding in. We got to get off the Titanic and onto Noah's Ark, we like to call it. We got
K-N-O-W.
Yeah, K-N-O-W-E-R.
May I just
yes,
echo?
I just wanted to say that.
I want to echo. That's a huge point. We're not saying that if you do yoga, that bad. No, do the yoga. Ask the yoga teacher or whatever. Are we facing the code, the software that these two weirdos are talking about, and that's blocking us from getting into the zone, into the Om? Are we in the Om? How do we go from here? Are you coaching me there? If you're a Christian and you believe in God and the beauty of Christ and sacrifice of Jesus, right? Is your teaching, whether you're Quaker or Protestant Catholic, whatever it is, being shown how to have real communion and going into the Christ space. The Christ speaking is an office of the Logos, a model for being human. Are we doing that? Ask the question, is Jesus here? Is this my Lord, or is Jesus the global power of the light of Logos shining for all humans? Is the Buddha here, or is the Buddha here? Is knowledge and science and scientific inquiry here, or is it here? Is love here, objectified, or is love deeper? Is the music I'm hearing, pop music, whatever it is, or the Beethoven's Ninth, or whatever, or is it coming from the source? Can we be source artists? Beautiful. We love artists. We love all the magnificent, inspiring work of all the great artists. It's not saying don't do it. Do it mindfully.
That's it.
Pop culture and pop celebrity and all of that is not worth anything if you're not getting the source music, the source lyrics, the source poetics, the source dancing. Are you dancing here or dancing here? Beautiful dancers, dance, Shiva dance, into the zone. So we're encouraging people not to give up the beautiful, inspiring things that are happening. If you're going to do science, ask, could I be doing deeper science? Could I have a deeper encounter with nature of the first kind, with the phenomena? And is there a deeper way to know and have truth than the way that we have here in an ideology and paradigm that we're lodged within and the software that we're using? So let's go deeper. That's what we're calling, right? We're urging people to say it's not a shortcut. It does take courage. It's not what we've been suggesting in all of these episodes 1 through 12, and this is the 12th one. It takes courage to make the shift. And there's no way to bypass it or hack your way.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think that does it for today. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we could just keep on going, but want to make sure.
We'll come back next time.
Yeah, we're gonna keep this going, guys. This is just gonna keep on coming, keep going deeper and deeper. Remember, we're 12 episodes in. You could jump into any one at any point, or you could watch them from beginning to end. Or as some people I know are going from the end to the beginning. Sourcecast is capable of being encountered from any angle. So, but we invite you to stay with us and know that we are continually bringing new episodes every week. We shoot for getting them live Tuesday of every week. So just keep looking for that. And we're so glad that you've joined us. And if you've stayed with us, thank you so much for staying with us. And
if I may just add a word.
yeah.
Again, this is a calling out to all our human family. This is not where, if we happen to be in America, we're not speaking to Americans with the American situation. We're talking to the human family across the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone really across the planet happens to be listening in, and if you'd like to get more of this education, the code education, and the breakthrough to source science, tap in with Näthan. He's got a link there. He's a great coach. And he's a great yoga teacher, singer, songwriter, musician. I say this, he's a great talent, and he's a brilliant life coach to help understand the shift. So there's a link to, you can have tutorials with him. And I just want to encourage people. But this is for everyone across the planet. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And yeah, like my dad just said, down below, we kind of give our description of the episode as we see it. But below that, there's a lot of vital links to our other material. You can go get to the podcast links. You can get to my website and book a session with me. You can, hear the music I make or the videos my dad makes. So just wanted to just remind you that check out the description below if you're in the YouTube. And even in the podcast descriptions, sometimes you can easily get into all that too. But just wanted to point that out, that there's a wealth of offerings that are always available with each episode in the description. So thank you guys so much.
Well done, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you. Yay. All right, see you next time.
We are the people who were promised for this promised land. Everybody worldwide. We are the promised people. We are the people, yes, so welcome to the promised land.